I think it's coming up right now. Periscope is live. D Live is live. Facebook, trovo.live/The Hake Report. My first stream. Let me know how it goes, guys. I cannot see the Trovo chat in Restream. I have to open up the separate Trovo chat. But thank you guys for joining me there. I am also live on YouTube and Twitch, hopefully. Yes, I am live on Twitch. And all of those. And of course, TalkStream Live and JLP Live. What's up, guys? I am back. This is James Hake, back in for the Hake Report, filling in. It's 9:02 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time. What's up, Mark? Hey, nice to see you on that platform, on Periscope. And of course, it is January 18th. I haven't been on my show since the 8th of 2021. Shout out to Jesse Lee Peterson for hosting the Hake Report for all 2 hours, all 5 days, all last week. That's cool. And shout out to Nick, the anchor baby, for filling in for Hake News with his Nick News because James was sick news. What a nice thing. And of course, yes, it's true. I did not update any podcasts of my show that Jesse Lee Peterson filled in for. So all this week, I think each day I'm going to try to, my idea is to do one of Jesse's podcasts from when he filled in for my show each day this week so I catch up. All right? I didn't even do timestamps or blog posts or anything. Terrible. We'll be getting to your calls, 888-775-3773. I gather that it is MLK Day. That's what people are saying. I have some things to talk about with, there are smears upon the Epoch Times. The Epoch Times is a fairly honest outlet, but the people who started it or some of the people behind it are part of this thing that some are calling a cult. And in my opinion, that is a communist smear, or at least like a double standard, because what's the mainstream media's religion, huh? So-called religion. It's a cult, too, all right? And President Trump was banned on Twitter, and I haven't been on my show since he was banned on Twitter. My last stream was Friday morning, and Friday afternoon, I think, is when he was banned, when he tweeted that he will not be attending Joe Biden's inauguration. I almost wanted to say funeral or wedding or whatever. So anyways, keep it cool, guys. We were all mad when Obama, well, I say we. I was kind of mad when Obama got so-called reelected in 2012. And some may be experiencing the same emotional overreaction in these times when it looks like President Trump will be stepping down from his presidency. And some may disagree with that. But just keep it cool, guys, right? But let's get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you all doing? I am fine. My head is still a little bit congested, but I'm not catching anymore, I don't think. But even if I am, these guys are young and strong. They can handle it, including JLP. What a mess. Man, well, never mind. I was sick all last week. Head sick. It was not COVID. It was not the Rona, I don't think. It was head congestion. Coughing a little bit, and so I didn't want to be coughing in the studio or coughing in the office. It's common sense. It's common decency. Stay away from the people. Don't get other people sick. Swole Hake and Confederate tank top. Yeah. People on Trovo, people are heading to Trovo because D Live just this past Friday, DLive.tv, on which we used to get lemons, ice cream, diamonds, Ninjaginis, Ninjets, subscriptions. They canceled all of that. And they also had cool stickers, what was called stickers, which are pictures, little pictures that people in the chat could post. And some of them were custom pictures. Pictures of Joel Friday here. Pictures of Hake. Pictures of Chris and Nick and JLP. But now they can't do that. They can't do that one where I'm waving my arms all funny. And so they did that because thanks a lot, Baked Alaska. Am I right? Poor Baked Alaska. Don't blame him. He was misguided as a young man, I think. Baked Alaska is a young man. Most of you guys are familiar already, but just for the boomers who listen to my show, Baked Alaska is a young man who appeared on The Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson. He was still wearing sunglasses, and that was because his eyes had supposedly been damaged from, at least temporarily, from some kind of crazy pepper spray or something. He almost went blind, I think, from the Charlottesville riots. Baked Alaska, he's kind of like a wild young man, but I don't think of him as being violent. I don't think, but I don't know. But nonetheless, he was pepper sprayed in the Charlottesville riots, in which a whole lot of people who were lawfully, peacefully protesting the removal of beautiful statues, Confederate heroes, such as the great General Lee, Robert E. Lee, were being taken down. So they were protesting in Lee Park in Charlottesville, Virginia, in I think 2017, August of 2017. It might have been 2018. I think it was 2017, though. And Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the local officials were a bunch of evil Democrats, scum of the earth, attacked them. Police stood by and let it happen. And many of them fought back. Some of them were eager to fight back. Some of them just trying to get out of trouble. And some of them freaked out and maybe lashed out in retaliation, such as that young man, James Fields. I think that might have been what happened. I don't know what was going through his head when he drove into the crowd and that woman died. But Baked Alaska, he was there. And he was getting into the alt-right stuff, getting into Jew blamer type stuff. And then he started dating a Jew, I think. Laura Loomer, who's also been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. And so he's kind of like this aimless guy, as I was telling you. Yeah, what the? As I was telling you guys during the Jesse Lee Peterson show, Baked Alaska. And prior to that, he worked for BuzzFeed. He was supporting Black Lives Matter. He's just this feel-good guy who goes with the trends or whatever. And then he became a streamer. He was banned on Twitter. He did like this 8-hour stream, rage stream, after he was banned. And so he went to Washington, D.C., where he got, according to this woman who was supposedly raised Christian, who's a university professor, who is a source for the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which makes its business smearing whites and Christians and a few blacks, accusing them of hate when they're every bit as hateful as anybody that they're accusing of being hateful. The SPLC, they're actually a source, or were a source, maybe still are, a so-called source for the FBI. Talk about deep state corruption, right? Sick people, communist at root, the SPLC. And the younger people in the SPLC are worse than the older people, if you can even imagine that. Because some of the older people are still white, so-called, or white Jewish, and they're getting ostracized and kicked out by the younger crowd who are more openly and brazenly anti-white even than the communists of old. And so there have been all these hit pieces on DLive.tv about far-right streamers are making money off of hate, profiting off of hate, because many of you guys support conservative Christian people like me and Jesse Lee and many others in the America First so-called movement and others. Christian, just regular Christians, many of them. Many people who are just men trying to live their own lives, raise their own families, stand up for the country, stand up for what's right. Some of them are Catholic, some of them are regular Christians. But they're being called white supremacists and hateful people. They're just normal American Christian men. And so Baked Alaska was streaming on D-Live. He made a couple of grand, supposedly. And they used that for a hit piece. And he was in this the Capitol, in the so-called Capitol riots. And was he rioting? I think he was just enjoying his time. Maybe he had no business being in there. I don't think he did. Inside the Capitol. I saw a clip, and I don't have it for you, but I saw a clip of people in the Capitol, including Baked Alaska. He was streaming. I think he was the one holding the camera. One guy said, oh, somebody said, oh, there's a phone. Let's call President Trump from the Capitol. And one guy's like, he would be mad upset to hear from us right now. He would not be happy. One guy knew what he was doing was wrong, and that President Trump would not be happy about it. But Baked Alaska said, what are you talking about? We're just supporting Trump. He would be happy. And maybe was clueless enough in that moment to think that. I've known him to do some kooky things, come into private businesses streaming without the people's permission. Ridiculous. Just kind of a blind, selfish person. And do something a little rash, which is all it really was, a little rash. Because I don't think that he was participating in the breaking and stuff like that. He was just going a little wild, a little spurgy. And I don't know if he has Asperger's or anything like that as an excuse, but he went a little overboard, maybe a lot overboard. And the crackdown came on all of us because anything remotely associated with conservatism or President Trump, pro-Trump, is going to get smeared because they hate what's right, the people who are shutting it all down. Let me try to get back into my chat. I will be getting to your calls, guys. And some say, oh, it was going to happen anyway. I don't think that's a wise excuse to make. I don't think it is. Because they were looking for any excuse to happen. You don't give them an excuse. You don't get shut down early by being... You don't be foolish and try to get shut down early. Because it wasn't beneficial what they did. Let me log back into my my live chat. See if I put in the right password. I have Michael in Alabama for who wants to comment on the biblical reasons why blacks suffer. Interesting. T in Alabama wants to call Joel, Chris, and Hake hypocrites. Art in Ohio wants to say welcome back. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And others calling in. There's one line open right now, guys. Let me just... Man, hold on. I can't say it out loud. I can't say my password out loud, otherwise you would know how to get in my restream. I'm not getting my restream chat going. What a mess.
What the?
Some people call MLK Day Black Day. I've known Hispanics who called it Black Day. And as I said, I think I saw a clip. I don't know much about it because I wasn't really conscious at the time, but I think it might have been in my lifetime that MLK Day came into being, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But I believe that it was Ronald Reagan who signed it into law, I think. And there was a lot of people saying there were politicians who were against it, who were against creating a national holiday in favor of Martin Luther King Jr., because some of you guys believe that he was indeed a communist. There were definitely communist people inside and pushing the so-called civil rights movement. And to this day, they're worse than ever.
To this day.
They really are. Man, maybe I just need to turn off my Wi-Fi. It's crazy. Let me actually get to some calls because it's out of control. Michael in Alabama wants to comment on why blacks suffer. Michael, how are you doing?
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, on how people always blame slavery. God put us in slavery.
Yes.
Or God put us through something. God has nothing to do with evil. God puts us through those situations and doesn't bail us out to make us a better person.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that black people suffer so much because the devil hates the black race more than anybody.
The devil does?
And the reason why is Simon of Crete. You remember, he's the one that when Jesus cried out to God to take the suffering from him, he took the cross from Jesus and carried it. And Satan hated that. He hated him to do that. And God has a special place in his heart for black people because of that. And if black people
Really?
would realize that and come back to Christ, they would have, I think they would have more of a beautiful relationship than any other race on the planet. But they choose not to.
Are you black or are you white? Or what are you?
I'm white.
Why do you say that about blacks? You think that just because Simon, who I think was Ethiopian, right?
He was from North Africa, yes. And it also proves that Jesus wasn't black because in the Bible they say he was a foreigner.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. You think that just because Simon did that, that's what made the blacks special?
Yeah, I do, because he took a suffering that no other race did. And
Simon carried the cross.
Right.
For Jesus after Jesus couldn't handle it anymore.
Yes.
I don't know, man. I think that's kind of silly speculation.
Well, I mean, it could be, but it could be valid also. I mean,
You think that the devil hates blacks more than he hates the others?
I really do, because they've had suffered more, and I believe that the devil caused that, and God's allowing that to happen to get because they've fallen so far away from God.
In what way have they suffered more? Blacks.
Through being enslaved, through certain hardships that they go through that other people don't.
Huh. You ask how black are Ethiopians? But I mean, this Simon guy, he wasn't even the father of all Ethiopians, and it doesn't make sense to me. And the Ethiopians didn't end up being slaves, did they, too much? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think didn't we get mostly Nigerians? Or something like that?
Africans.
What did you say?
Central. West Africans.
Central and West Africans we got, not North Africans so much. Just FYI. I mean, but I think that we treated our slaves the best out of any of the slave owners.
Oh,
I say we,
agree.
but obviously not.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but...
So they didn't really suffer under us as much as they might have, say, under Muslims, where they were castrated, I hear, and things like that. No Egyptians, Somalis, or Lebanese were enslaved?
Those are all Africans.
Oh, those are all
everybody
Africans.
was enslaved
Jeez.
at one time. I mean, everybody conquered everybody. And when they conquered people, they raped, pillaged, and...
That's that's why I question whether blacks are really suffering more. I mean, I get that you go to Africa and it's really hit and miss, and mostly miss in terms of how civilized the situation is.
I mean, I visit Africa, and it's a terrible place. I mean,
Which part?
You got certain pockets that are great, but not overall.
Right.
That whole nation has suffered. I mean, it's never been a great nation like America. I think it could be.
Well, it's not a nation. It's a bunch of nations. But do you have white guilt?
No.
You don't? Are you sure?
I want to make one thing, too, about illegal immigration.
Okay. But what prompted you to say that? That's your biblical reason why blacks suffer?
Well, I think that's why the black nation has suffered from Africa, is what I'm meaning. why it hasn't.
But just because I
they
think the
believe
devil.
in voodoo and witchcraft. They believe in a lot of things that they shouldn't do over there. They
Yeah.
don't believe in Christ.
I think that brings on their suffering more than any amount of hatred from the devil, or anything good that Simon, the Ethiopian guy, or North African
There's a
guy.
reason why God called
did.
him to do that. And
But
so,
God didn't call him necessarily to do that. The Roman guy did. It was like a Roman, wasn't it like a Roman soldier who said, "Hey, you, black guy, come carry this cross."
that's a different opinion. Some believe that, and some believe that he was called to do it and that he did it. So,
But I would just stay with, I don't know. Because you don't want to put blacks in some special place. They already have enough ego as it is, you know? Say, oh, they have a special place in God's heart. That just seems like a ego stroke to blacks.
maybe. But I didn't think of it that way.
You know a lot of blacks in Alabama where you are? You grew up there?
Well, I've been to black churches. I mean, even though I'm white, I guess I've hanging around blacks a lot of my lifetime. So,
Yeah.
and but maybe it's where that comes from. But
Did you know that there's no really such thing as white churches? There are black churches, but there are no really white churches. They're just churches. They're just mostly white. But they welcome everybody too much, to be honest. They're too welcoming to everybody because, you know, they bend over backwards out of guilt. Or out of like, ooh, a colored. But there are no like white churches. But there are black churches.
yeah, I mean, and to comment on that further, I have been to black churches where I've been told that I'm not welcome because of me being white.
You have been told that?
Yes.
Wow. That's interesting. But you think God has a special place in his heart for them?
Yes.
That's interesting, man. Who did you come up with this, or were you told this? You hear this from somebody else, then you said, "Oh, that makes sense."
Laid on me personally.
So that was laid on your heart?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know if I would listen to that, because that could be from the devil.
It's possible, but
Yeah, I would just leave it alone then.
yeah.
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking, Michael?
49.
Wow. You grew up down there?
Yes.
That's cool,
No,
man.
I actually grew up down here, but I'm military brat. I grew up in 2 different countries.
Wow. Okay. Did you join the military too, or you were just a son of a military man?
I had enough. After my dad was an MP and a drill sergeant, so I had enough of that.
Right. Interesting.
Plus, I made some bad decisions when I was younger.
So you wouldn't have been allowed?
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Well, I appreciate the call.
Can I make one comment on the immigration?
Yeah, go for it.
I was an idiot because I live on a lot of land, and I didn't think that nobody would be stupid enough to come on my property. And my daughter had sex with an illegal alien.
Whoa.
And the reason why they need to be legal and not illegal, she just turned 18, and of course he was a grown man, but
Grown woman.
she had a baby.
Oh, he was a grown man.
And she had a baby. Of course, she couldn't take care of it, and I ended up having to adopt the child. I'm raising the child now.
Is this true? Are you trolling me, or are you telling me the truth?
No, it's the truth. And we couldn't.
You didn't have to, but you did.
What's that?
You didn't have to take on that baby, that grandbaby.
Well, I'm the one. I wanted to, but I also had the conviction that I had to because I'm the one that convinced her not to have an abortion when she wanted it.
It doesn't mean
But anyway, I want to go.
her not killing her baby doesn't make it your responsibility to raise that baby. That's liberal thinking. FYI. Just FYI.
Well,
If
I'm
you
glad I
wanted to
did.
raise the baby, that's fine. I'm just was curious why.
And I'm glad I did. But
Okay.
long story short, that legal alien, unlike with him, she couldn't get child support. She couldn't get any kind of thing from him because he's not from the country.
What a scam. The illegals get away with sex babies out of wedlock more than poor blacks. Blacks better, and everybody else. They should be so against
I don't
illegal.
get any government assistance at all. I mean, we make too much money. And we don't I'm not rich. But
Yeah, we shouldn't be for this child support anyways. But you're right. Like, they get to avoid all responsibility. Interesting.
But I'm glad I adopted her. I mean, I love her to death. She's my life. But I'll be 60 years old when she graduates high school.
Man, that's what. Why didn't you make your daughter raise it?
I tried to, but she's just too irresponsible. I mean, she just
But you
right now.
But you gave her an out by not doing it.
Well, I supported her the whole time and tried to get her.
Are you divorced, or how did you have your daughter?
No, I've been married 27 years.
Oh, okay.
But I tried to work with her, to get her head straight, what she needed to do, how to live for like months. And then she would use me to death like you would a man.
You
know?
need to call Jesse Lee Peterson. Because this story is insane.
But that's the bad part with illegal aliens. Like, they can do this stuff, and then they don't have any responsibility. None.
I know, but that's also like the bad part with whites spoiling their children because your daughter didn't have any responsibility either.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And I raised 3 girls.
And it's no wonder we let the illegals get away with not having responsibility, and the politicians get away with not having responsibility. Because look at you're a like a decent sounding Christian man, and your family that you've raised is out of control.
Yeah, but they got in.
And you're enabling it.
Well, see, I was an idiot. I didn't understand how much the internet could influence them. I didn't realize that, and they would get on the internet and talk to people they shouldn't talk to.
Yeah.
That's how this guy got out here. He was from a different state, and he come out here, and I didn't know. I was at work.
Well, yeah. Isn't that always the way? I hear about, I don't do any counseling, but I hear about Jesse Lee Peterson counseling people, or oftentimes I'll hear on the radio just stories of the men were working, too busy working, and their children were destroyed right under their nose because they weren't watching out for them. Interesting, man. Wow. What a story, Michael.
Yeah, it was rough, but I'm glad of how it's all turned out because everything's working out. And I've like I said, I've been married 27 years, and I'm happy with my life. It's been tough raising a child, but she's beautiful, so I got that to be thankful for.
All right. Cool, man. Well, if you ever are interested in counseling, or definitely, have you called into the Jesse Lee Peterson show before?
Yes.
Okay. Have you talked about this type of thing with him?
No, I've talked to him some things about my parents, because I had to serve some time and things like that before I got my life together. I've been straight for 26 years. But before that, I had a rough time.
Yeah.
I had some assault convictions and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear from you. What an honor.
No, thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. It's good to hear from you. Take care, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow. What a story. It is true. We do need to get a handle on these illegals, but we need to get a handle on our own lives and our children's lives, I guess, if we have them. If we're responsible to even have them in the first place, so-called. Okay. Let me get to T in Alabama. He wants to comment on Joel, Chris, and Hake. Joel's not here to defend himself, but Chris and Hake are. T, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine as well. Thank you.
That's good. Glad you're over the COVID, man.
It wasn't COVID, but I appreciate it. Yes, I'm glad I'm over the cold, too. Are you there?
Check.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said it wasn't.
COVID, though, huh?
I said it was not COVID. It was just a
but
cold.
You're scared you had it, though, right?
No, I just didn't want to spread my. I'm not scared to have it. Scared to have COVID.
Okay. You didn't think you had it?
No,
did it
I
cross
didn't.
your mind?
It crossed my mind. It crossed my mind because I was a little sick, but I don't. It was not COVID.
I mean, y'all don't believe in the COVID, so I mean, why should it?
What makes you say that we don't believe in the COVID? Well, you know what we believe in or not.
Y'all think it's fake anyway, man. So why cross your mind?
That may be what Chris thinks, but I never said that I think it's fake. I say that the overreaction to the thing is fake.
No, the perception that y'all give on the show that is fake.
Not true.
But
that you don't have a bad.
But, hey,
you have poor perception.
Yeah. Okay, man. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
But I just want to get to my topic, before you jump all over the place.
All right.
Okay. I listened to you and Joel and y'all savior sit on the earlier show.
Can you say it with more disdain? A little more disdain in your voice, please.
To discuss the topic of people following other people or not being influenced, or people who say things like Trump. It's not their fault that people go about and do crazy stuff.
Right.
Okay. That those grown people make their own choices. Has nothing to do with what Trump says. He's not, no influence on them, right? That's what y'all believe, right?
It didn't say he's no influence on them. We said that they're responsible for how they for their perception.
So he has no responsibility in regards to what he could say, whether y'all feel it was intentional or not intentional. Trump, just say he intended for that to happen. But y'all saying that that's not his fault that it happened, right?
Wait, what are you saying? You're getting all backwards. You're beating around the bush. Are you trying to say that Trump intended for something to happen?
Yeah.
What in your mind did Trump intend to happen?
What happened? That's what he intended.
Oh, that's insane.
Did he intend for people
That's insane,
to die? Did he intend people to die?
No. You think that Trump intended? No, you think that Trump intended for the whites to riot or whatever?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
No,
he intended for his low subject.
Like I said,
storm the White House.
Like I said, your perception.
To disrupt the
Like I said, your perception is way off. To disrupt the democratic process. You're insane.
Y'all know you want that, man. But
no,
anyway,
we don't. There's nothing about Trump. Hold on, Chief. I gotta put him on hold. He's ridiculous. There's nothing in Trump that is pro chaos in terms of riots and lawlessness. There's nothing about him that calls for that or supports that. They tried to say that he was inciting violence when he said, because these back when he was running for office, there were Black Lives Matter shouting and being disruptive. And he said, "Don't you want to just clock those guys? Just clock them. I'll pay the legal fees if somebody clocks them." But he's joking. That's just like a man. It's like a man response sometimes to put the smack down on out of control behavior, on rioters. And sometimes we need a more manly response to rioters. And rioters include the Black Lives Matter people who are disruptive in a Trump rally. They're rioting. They're being disruptive. No respect. And so sometimes it calls for strong arming, manhandling, maybe not clocking him. And one old guy clocked a guy who was flipping off the whole crowd over that. I remember during the 2016 thing, one Trump rally, right? A black guy was getting escorted out. He was a Black Lives Matter idiot. And he was sticking up his middle finger to the whole crowd. And a guy punched him. And I think the guy got in trouble for punching him. And Trump said, I think he's just a man who loves his country. And some people who love their country get upset at this insane stuff, especially like boomers. And I think that was a boomer who did that. Old guy. Punched a young black man. Young black man was fine. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that. But Trump is a man. And this female-minded stuff like what T is pushing is just ridiculous. It's insane. But that's the excuse that people who are suckers or who want other people to be suckers have for kicking President Trump off of the internet. So, T, you're ridiculous.
All right, you through, man, with your dialogue?
Yeah, it was a monologue.
Okay. Yeah, your monologue, where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't make no sense. But I just want to say this, man. Y'all constantly, this is the hypocrisy on y'all show.
Okay.
All right, y'all sit here and tell folks that people have no, let me see what it is. You have no say-so in what you do, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
Y'all believe
not
that.
in control. You don't make decisions. You're not in control of your
Right.
life. You're controlled by evil.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So,
Or you're controlled by God.
in the same sense, y'all sit on the show today and gonna say what other people what those people did was because they chose to do. Right? That's what y'all was saying.
We didn't
right?
say they chose to do it.
Yeah, y'all saying grown folks made the decision. Trump
Right.
didn't have nothing to do with
Yes.
what they did, but those grown people
Yes.
made the decision themselves to do what they did.
That's right.
Okay, so
people do have a choice, right?
No, they don't.
Oh, so what's
It's
now,
because T.
what's that
What
stuff
you're getting
that make,
confused, T. What you're getting
No,
confused
I
is
ain't getting no confused.
no. Let me answer what you're getting
What's
confused
that
about.
make? Okay, go ahead on. Go ahead
All right.
on. So you're controlled by God or Satan. You're not controlled by other people so much. You're controlled by God or Satan. Those people who did that, they were listening to Satan. Satan said, "Oh, go storm, so-called storm, or just go into the Capitol." Even though the cops are forming a line, there were barricades that indicated, "We don't want you here." Instead of respecting that, Satan said, "Oh, go on in." In some cases, the cops opened up and said, "Yeah, come on in, whatever. You're
Oh,
overwhelming
so
us."
you're saying that was a bad thing what they did, right?
In general, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you a question. Since y'all set these experts
And you,
on
and
religion
in your
God
twisted
and so
mind, you think that Trump wanted that to happen?
No.
Ridiculous.
Let me ask you this question. Since y'all such experts,
So don't
on
you get it?
religion
Don't you
and
get the
God.
difference between that?
No,
They're listening
I
to
don't,
God
James. No,
or Satan.
No. They doing what they want to do. Okay, that's called.
Okay, so you admit that
Okay.
it wasn't Trump, so-called
No, they
inciting.
doing because, like I said, they was influenced. Yeah, they was.
So you
influenced by
admit
devils.
that it wasn't Trump inciting.
You know who that devil was? That devil was Trump. Okay. All right. So I want to say.
Are you
this.
one of those Louis Farrakhan followers?
No,
You
man.
believe that
Listen,
white
let me
man
say
is
this,
the
James.
devil?
James,
You think that
James,
Trump
let me
is the
say this,
devil?
man. Ain't no such thing as white folks.
You
James.
think Trump
You
is
ain't
the
nobody
devil?
Special, man. Let me say this, James. Can
I
ask
thought
this?
you voted for Trump
Yeah, I did.
in 2020.
Sure did. Yes, sir.
How about
Yes, sir.
2016?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
But James, let me get.
Who'd
to
you
the
vote
thing.
for in 2016?
Pinocchio. Okay, but
He said
let me
that
ask you
because he's
this.
lying.
Quick question. Let me quick question, man.
All right.
This, if Satan, okay, is the root of all evil, right? Okay. And Satan, what did Satan get his choice from to try to say, "I'm gonna be God"? What did evil come from?
I don't know.
Before
The Bible
Satan.
doesn't say, and I don't have the insight to tell you.
Okay. So if you're saying everything is either you're influenced by Satan or God, okay, who influenced Satan to become evil?
I don't know.
Answer that for me.
I don't know.
Where
I
did
just
evil
answered
come
it.
from?
My answer is
Was
I
evil-
don't know. Thank you, T. Nice
Okay,
talking with you,
so-
man. We'll talk again.
No, don't hang up.
Have a good one. It's boring. Hake just said barricades. He's definitely a secret bear. Yeah, but I'm a banned bear because I said something stupid on an Owen Benjamin stream, so I got banned. Let me get to Art in Ohio. Art, how are you doing, Art?
Man, what's up with my main man, Hake, doggy dog?
Not much.
Check this.
I'm back
Man,
though.
they had me worried about you, man.
They
I
didn't.
heard
They
some
weren't
stuff.
worried about me. How were you worried?
No,
Who's they?
'cause I got, man, my contacts all the way out here in Ohio said that old Earl got Joe Biden in the Adidas jumpsuit, and they ran down on you slash in slow motion because you know they move slow. And the whole time that Earl was dragging Joe Biden, and Joe Biden was like, "Where are we going, Earl?" Where we? And I heard they beat you up, man.
No, Biden sniffed my hair, and I was traumatized.
Oh my God! Said he came up with the jumpsuit and got to sniffing that hair.
Yep, terrible. Don't remind me.
Man, all right. I'm glad you are. Long story short, what's up with Tony, man? Every time he get on here, the last caller, man.
Oh,
every
T?
time he get on here, T, man.
Yeah.
I have no clue what the heck he be talking about. The only part that I think I know what he was talking about was when he was talking about what does the devil come in and how and this and that. I think he's talking about the confusion. He comes in confusion, and the devil comes in. And he comes to rob, steal, kill, and cause confusion. Those are the forms that he comes in. And the key thing that Jesse always says is that the anger. And when your anger is stowed off or whatnot, everything's supposed to be balanced at an equal thing. But when your anger goes up or it's too low, you either be depressed or in the fallen state to where you emotionally torn up if it's too low. If it's in the middle, it's just balanced right. But if you're too angry, you end up hurting somebody. That's why when we anger and we let the anger get the best of us and we make rash decisions, then after we think about it, we like, dang, man, I was so angry, I blacked out and I didn't realize what I was doing. That's why you got to stay balanced and not get angry, because that's when the devil comes in through your spirit.
Yeah.
At the when you're angry, you're supposed to stay balanced. Or what? Long story short, and that's where I think that T was trying to talk about. And if he was trying to talk about Trump was causing confusion, no, he was not. This whole 4 years, Trump didn't do nothing but expose all of them, the rhinos, the Republicans, period.
Yeah.
The Democrats, he exposed all of them, and the news is the main player. The news is the main ringleader.
I don't know. I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are the main ringleader, but they're definitely a major player, for sure.
Well, I say they're one, and one of the main players in it is for the simple fact you've been pushing certain propaganda and banning certain things, and when you get to going and banning the president and pushing a certain agenda against him, then I'm at the point to where I'm like, I mean, that's all the liberal agenda. My thing is this, is that how can you expect black people or anybody to change when y'all only push certain agendas and push what you want people to hear? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They are evil for sure.
Yeah, and then with your guy down there said his daughter got a baby by the Mexican or whatnot, that just shows that y'all, the white generation, is turning, everything is flipping back around, and it's already affecting our people, the blacks, but it's gonna affect the white people even more, because
right.
we know that if the Mexican dude had a baby with the white lady, then the baby's considered to be Mexican because it's the seed of the father.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they're in turn, and I see that dude, that dude, he's a liberal. You see what I'm saying?
Who's that?
The last dude that was calling, talking about basically trying to say that we should go ahead and make them legal or whatnot. No.
Oh, I don't think he was saying that. I think that he was saying that they're not having any responsibility. I didn't catch if he said that if he was implying that they need to be legal. I didn't catch that. Is that what he was implying? I didn't catch that. I hope not.
I say that because I think he was saying because they basically are not held financially responsible.
Right.
I think that's why he was trying to say that.
Oh man.
And I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But and it's just so crazy, and everybody, and this is the part that kills me about the news and them suppressing information. They're not. A lot of the people that's watching the mainstream news don't even know nothing about that caravan. More than likely,
I know.
trying to come up here.
Yeah,
You
there's
see
a
what I'm saying?
caravan. Did you guys hear that? It's a caravan of like approaching 10,000 people from where? Guatemala or Honduras?
Yep.
Coming. Oh,
Once
Guatemala,
again-
I think, tried to block them. They're coming for America.
Once again, and then the thing is, the last time they came up here, they was trying to get up here. I think before Trump was trying to get that wall built, and it was a whole bunch of them. And the time before that was when Obama was in there because they thought that Obama was going to let them in or whatnot. And then now
He
that
did,
they see
too.
that,
Obama did let them in too. I remember that.
You said he did. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he
see,
let the UACs, unaccompanied alien children, in like crazy.
So that's the thing that's getting me. What you're saying is when you tell me something, I'm like, all right, Hake know what he thought. Okay, so he did let him in. So once again, you see that the Joe Biden is coming into office. You see it starting back up because they like, oh, he's
Right.
gonna let us
I
in.
know.
They already.
That's what I thought of too.
They already know it, and it's just so crazy. Like if they can suppress the president and suppress and the thing that I'm seeing on YouTube is they have been removing people's channels off the off the thing, but you ain't removing none of these rat dudes or nothing. See, that's cool. It's cool. It's cool for you to push the rat stuff or whatnot, all that agenda, but you want to suppress the president.
Yeah.
So that's a smoke. That's a smoke screen for the black people. See what they don't understand is the mainstream news and the elites they probing. So now that they see that they can get away with suppressing the president, it's over for the black people and the white people. It ain't nothing but an attack on men. Period.
Yeah, very true. That's true.
And they're trying to raise the female up. They're trying to raise the female up to set them in a position for like a place like China and Russia, because basically when you know it's a female in power, that means that colony is weak.
Right.
We know the female's not supposed to lead, so if it's a female in power of America, all the other countries like China, that's gonna be that cute to fire on us. You see what I'm saying?
Interesting.
But see, with a lot of these liberals and their feminists in this movement that they don't seem to understand that, see, when they did that to Trump or whatnot, the same thing they did to Christ, that set something in motion. And a lot of them think they know about God and they play like, he's a Bible thumper. I'm not no Bible thumper. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, the vision I'm seeing. But it set something in motion now that if allegedly you get one of these female or these higher positions, it's basically America's being blinded, just like that when they was trying to build that tower over there in the biblical days.
Yeah.
And God blinded all the they were the best construction dudes in the world, and they couldn't get the not statue, but it was like a skyscraper. They
the Tower of Babel.
The Tower of Babel, because God had blinded their vision. That's the same thing that's going on with America, and it's something that's gonna happen over a period of time. But America's definitely at a fallen state, and I'm just so surprised that we just turning over, the black people just turning over, and don't see that they're being genocided by foreigners from all over.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
What a mess.
Because the black people's generation, even yours, the younger generation, they're not having too many kids because they already seeing what's going on. So it's making them more docile. But
I don't know if they're seeing what's going on, but they are more docile for sure. And they're more getting into the education thing. And the more educated people are, the less chance they are going to have kids.
But
awful.
When the foreigners is coming over here, they're having the 3 and the 4 kids,
5, 6,
keeping their kids.
More.
Having their families. Yep, and they're financially beating the blacks out, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell is the black people doing.
Yeah.
I mean, but you can't. If they like it, I love it, man. I mean, but that's only Father God removing us off the earth anyway, because we in the end times. But Father God bless you, Hake, man. And the listeners, and Jesse, Joel, Nick, Chris, man, y'all keep up the good work.
I appreciate it, Art. By the way, are you a Christian? I forget.
Man, I'm tribe of Judah, man.
Right, but tribe of Judah doesn't mean that you're a Christian or not, right? A Hebrew Israelite is just what you're born at, what you are born
yeah.
supposedly, right?
Yeah, man.
But
these
can't you be an
Christians
Israelite
nowadays-
Christian, or no?
Yeah, you can, man, but I just don't like the Christians nowadays, man. I stick to it and say it again. I'm just so disappointed in them, man.
Were you
I feel
raised
like all
Christian
them-
or were you raised Israelite?
Yeah, I was raised Christian.
Oh,
Definitely
man.
was.
What a mess.
Yeah, for sure. My great grandpa helped build the church down there in VA or whatnot. Man, I
Nice.
actually grew up in a house that had a metal house. When it used to rain, you can hear the rain hitting the roof, and it's the most common, smoothest sound, man. But yeah, I'm definitely a Christian. It's just I just seen how the church and the American and the propaganda they put, it's gonna push and mess everything up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's people like me. It's gonna make me look at the Christians like y'all all fake.
Not all, but most.
Not all, but most.
Yeah.
They pushovers, and I'm just
That's true.
disappointed at both parties because y'all ain't do nothing but sold America out for a hit just like Pookie off New Jack City.
I'm not familiar with that reference, but I appreciate it, Art. It's good to hear from
God
you. We'll
bless
talk
you.
again.
You already know.
Thank you, man. That's nice. What a mess, though. King of Hueco Mundo says, I used to like Art. I used to really admire Art, but then he admitted that he smokes pot. I forgot about that. Yeah, don't be bragging that you smoke pot. Stay in the closet with your pot. People, have shame. Have some shame and respect and dignity. People want to pretend that, oh, you're dehumanizing homosexuals and robbing them of their dignity by not letting them get so-called married. No, dignity and respect is hiding your issues, including homosexuality, sex out of wedlock. They're doing it to themselves. Yeah, they're being undignified, like undignified animals. What a shame. Man. Okay, real quick, before I get back to calls, and we're coming to the end of the first hour here, I want to tell you about the Epoch Times. Did you know, and I had heard this faintly, I had somehow associated the Epoch Times as being kind of Asian, and it is like Chinese people, I think, started it. And I think that it was Chinese people who are in this, what some are calling a cult called the Falun Gong. And I had heard of this Falun Gong before because there was a woman who either died, maybe she was murdered, or maybe she committed murder against a husband or something. Up in San Fran area, you know, there's a lot of Asians up there. Maybe it was even further north than that. But I had heard about it a couple of years ago and, you know, reading the news and stuff. But some kind of crazy thing happened with her. She fled to here. A lot of the Falun Gong people flee here to get away from persecution from the communist government there, because the communist government is against anything that's independent-minded, at least independent-minded from what they want. And they, according to what I read in one Breitbart article, the communist government there outright pushes, and I quote, well, translated, right? Translated from Chinese, I assume. They push Marxism. They actually believe in Marxism. I thought Karl Marx was like a Jew or something, right? What are the Chinese people doing listening to that guy? Dumb commies. But anyways, they support communism, Marxism. Suckers. Atheism, by the way. That's an atheistic mindset. There was a guy who called in to Jesse, I don't know if it was during my show or his, last week, who said that he's a leftist. He supports like the dialectical materialism. And yet he still thinks that he believes in God. Interesting. Falun Gong was killed by the CCP. And I think there was a guy who founded this thing back in the 70s or 80s or 60s or 50s or something. But it's basically kind of, you ever heard of Qigong? It's like some type of martial art thing that you get strong, or you find your core, or you're good at your core. Kind of like Tai Chi, yeah? says one body of Christ. But they also have some principles like kind of like the Buddhist principles or the principles that you find in any given religion or philosophy, like be honest and peaceful and stuff like that. So that's what they're about. And yet some of them protested, and it got a little out of hand, and then the communist government cracked down on them. So that's when they started getting negative attention from the government over there. And now they're being called a cult. And they may be. Who knows? But in my mind, from everything that I've heard, they're a benign cult. They're not a evil or a creepy cult, as cults go, right? What's a creepy cult is the cult that the mainstream media is part of. They all believe in Marxism, essentially, right? Which is to say atheism, secularism, anti-Christianism. If there are any isms, they hate Christians. They hate at least the conservative Christians, the ones who are closer to the real thing. They hate whites. Most whites are Christians, or at least they have a saner mindset, more freedom-minded mindset. And they don't like freedom. Just look at how they respond to anybody who tries to be free with their freedom of speech, with their not necessarily listening to these insane, over-the-top lockdown measures. They hate people like that. That's why they called the Great Barrington Declaration controversial, because it's pro-freedom. It's anti-lockdown, anti this power move from the so-called experts, pushed by the media and the Democrats and the rhinos. Suckers. Mrs. Ladybug says, welcome back, James. Thank you. Catholic is a cult now, says Chief Og. And as the Hebrew Israelite indicated, which I think that's a cult too, the Israelites, man. I hope you snap out of that maybe someday, Art. But he indicated that most of the Christians are a cult. They're lost, weak. What a mess. So it's not a valid... it's not a proper invalidation of the Epoch Times as a valid source, right? I'm saying this kind of clumsily. To call the Falun Gong, which is behind the Epoch Times, a cult. Oh, you're listening to a cult propaganda by referencing the Epoch Times, which I find to be trying to be for what's fair and accurate and right, even-handed. They do lean anti-communist, definitely. They're openly anti-communist, right? The Epoch Times. And I hear that they're openly pro-Trump. But that's basically pro-truth. Let's be honest. Am I right? Or at least anti-lies. So, anyway. I got to take a quick break here, a couple of minutes. I will get back to first Brian in Syracuse, New York. Got a lot of people on the line. Keith wants to talk about 60 years later, Black's worse than ever. I think it's a reference to MLK Day. Bobby in Nashville does not like Earl T, etc. I will get to you guys. Can you believe it? President Trump banned on Twitter. I miss seeing his tweets a little. I got notifications turned on for Trump's tweets, and now I don't get them. It's been a week and a half. Anyway, guys, hang tight for the rest of Hour 2. I will be right back.
Like a thief in the night, they'll take away what's left of us. Burning landslides lighting up the sky in front of all of us. Summer fire, heavy heart taking over, leading me to my grave. And I don't know what to think of what I told you, but tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. Fall away. Let the ashes of these memories turn to gray. Like a bird on a flying sky. Watch the clouds as they pass on by. Soar from the earth with no fear and no need to hold on to you, dear. But I'm afraid that I won't come down, 'cause it feels like having you around, like it was back then, when you and me, we were the best of friends. Summer fire, heavy heart taking over, leading me to my grave. And I don't know what to think of what I told you, but tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. Fall away. Let the ashes of these memories turn to gray. Stall the pain and let go of all your emptiness, so love remains like a thief, like a thief.
I'm back and better than ever. What's up, guys? So I was on Twitter a little bit, just peeking on Twitter every now and then. During my sick days, I had 5 sick days yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, last week. I was in church, not in church, but in the back here watching church. So-called producing. But I was looking at Twitter and I came across Black Twitter. And I came across this tweet. You guys ever heard of the paper bag test or something like that? The paper bag test? Some girl, and I'm not including her handle because I have a huge platform and I don't want you guys, I'm joking around here. I don't want you guys doxing or harassing her, right? I'm a responsible, what is that called? A host, D-Live host. I'm a responsible host. I'm not just on D-Live. But this girl, this woman, young woman I assume, black, tweeted this picture of a paper bag and said, if you not darker than this, you not gonna get a follow back. And it has and it's a little confusing because there's a brown paper lunch bag folded over, sitting on a white background with a shadow on the white background. And so I'm confused because I'm darker than that white background. So what part of it? Like what part? Anyway, but she means the paper bag, brown paper bag. So if you're not even, so in other words, she's also I'm being silly here, but she's anti-albino, apparently. The blacks who lose their color or weren't born without any color. They're albinos. They're very, very light skinned. They're not going to get a follow back either. And I don't blame her. But
Hater.
you know, what if I tweeted out this picture and it said, if you're not lighter than this, you're not going to get a follow back? I wonder what would happen. It probably would, nothing would happen. But if, let's say, President Trump tweeted that, if you were lighter, does Joel pass the test? I think he does. Seems close. It's crazy.
He's darker, it looks like. Hold on.
I think Joel's darker. He's going to get a side-by-side here. Lots of stuff going on. But, yes, Joel is darker than that brown paperback. Oh, his hands are lighter. The insides of his hands, lighter.
You be the judge.
What a mess. But yes, we've all known that blacks are really into colorism. They're the primary perpetrators of colorism. They turn white if you put pressure on them, says Nick. Yeah, I turn you can barely see it. You know, it's so ridiculous. Speaking of negative tweets. Well, these are Parler posts. Lin Wood, you know that man who, I think he the one who won those cases on behalf of the great Covington Catholic schoolboy, young man, Nicholas Sandman, the Catholic Sandman. Lin Wood, who is an attorney, a conservative, I think, a Christian. I've seen him posting a lot of Bible quotes over the months back when he was on Twitter. He got banned recently. But he was putting on Parler stuff like, they let them in. And I don't know what that means. I think that may be a reference to the Capitol riot that went inside of the... And all of it wasn't a riot. I'm going to show you a clip. Lin Wood said, get the firing squads ready. And he said, Pence goes first. What? I think that's over the top, man. Lin Wood, I think you're off your rocker a little. I still like you. But I think he's a little nuts there. Because I don't think Mike Pence... Are you going to judge a man for showing a moment of weakness? People show a moment of weakness, you cut them... You say, oh, that was wrong. But you also, forgive them, right? I don't think that's firing squad status. What about the whole... How is Pence going first when he was the last line of defense against this, this election shenanigan that we think went on, right? He was the last line of defense, and he, of course, failed, right? We saw that. He let all those votes in that were so-called accepted by the mainstream media. But look at all of these other lines of defense that were crossed and allowed to be crossed. That's the weakness of the entire country, really. The people who were watching the ballots, some of them spoke up. Some of them faced a lot of threats, and it wasn't enough. The judges who threw out these cases for a lack of standing, some cases supposedly lack of evidence, because you're not supposed to necessarily be able to have to present your evidence right off the bat, but that's a whole separate situation. And I don't see how you can blame Pence first and foremost for this. You got to blame everybody who failed at every level. The state legislatures, a bunch of rhinos and cowards and evil people. The judges, some of them I heard may have been threatened. I don't know. The people themselves, the suckers who voted for Biden, allegedly. What a mess. He said, if Pence is arrested, Secretary Pompeo, Secretary Pompeo, he tweeted this January 1st, 5 days before January 6th, right? Which was the big day that they all failed. If Pence is arrested, Secretary Pompeo will save the election. Mike Pompeo won't save anything. He didn't even save the South Africans. Where is his report to President Trump regarding the situation in South Africa? He directed Secretary Mike Pompeo to look into the farm attacks and the land confiscation without compensation. Pompeo didn't do anything. He's a rhino. Pence is less of a rhino than Pompeo, I suspect, but I don't know. Pence will be in jail waiting for trial for treason. He will face execution by firing squad. He's a coward and will sing like a bird and confess all, said Lin Wood. So I think that sometimes these guys get a little over the top. Let me show you this clip that I have, clip 12 of this Capitol Hill situation, where you see the this guy with the horns, this weirdo with the horns, who was a prominent picture at the Capitol protest, walking in to either the Senate or House chambers in the Capitol building, inside that area where Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi and all those other weaklings and scum of the earth, people, liars and sleazy politicians, phonies, are normally supposed to be. And you'll hear him coming in, cussing, and I bleep it, don't worry, kids. And there's a guy who's, according to him, bleeding from the face. He was hit by a rubber bullet or a plastic bullet. And then you'll hear a cop come in and say, what did he say? Well, I'll play it for you and you'll hear it. And then I'll quote it afterwards. Listen to this and watch.
Hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
Yes.
You good, sir? Do you need medical attention?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
It's inside the Capitol.
Shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
I know.
Listen to that white cop. So tough, so commanding. And these guys, so destructive. It's like so peaceful, even though they're being ridiculous. It's like, you think that they would have, if the senators were here, they would have started conducting executions like some were speculating? So this is, by the way, I got this clip from Vincent James. I think it was originally from the New Yorker or something. But on Telegram, shout out to Telegram. I think it's a Russian app, but anyway. Police says, any chance I can get you guys to leave the Senate wing? This is the most sacred place. I think he said sacredest place.
Like.
Oh, yeah, he said this is like the most sacredest place. Something like that. Play it one more time. It's like ridiculous. Is he from the San Fernando Valley? Is he a Valley girl?
Hey, man.
Ridiculous.
Glad to see you guys. You guys are patriots. Look at this guy. He's got
You guys are
covered in
patriots.
blood. God bless you.
Yes.
God bless you.
You good, sir? Do you need medical attention?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
No, man, it's good.
I got shot in the face. I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get
country.
you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
I know.
Just want to let you guys know, this is like the sacredest place. And he's wearing his mask like a goofy guy. And oh, this is a nice guy. And he's like, oh, come on. He's because the Horns man acts a lot like Baked Alaska. And I think he was a QAnon supporter. Some people said that he was Antifa. He seemed too friendly to be Antifa. I think he was a QAnon guy. You guys are effing patriots. Right on. You're covered in blood. God bless you. What a weirdo. That's the kind of people that were going in. And I know that that wasn't the whole picture because some cop, it was definitely not the whole picture because some cop got hit over the head, I heard, with a fire extinguisher, and he eventually died. And then there were some cops and protesters trading blows, or rioters, I should call them, really, punching each other. Sometimes the cops were over-aggressive, I heard, according to Elijah Schaefer, of slightly offensive. And sometimes the people were over-aggressive. But, come on. It's ridiculous. Silly. But, I see one quick more tweet. Trump cheat. This guy accuses Trump of cheating. This is from Michael Marshall Smith. I think he's a writer or some dumb guy. He has a blue check mark on Twitter. And he tweeted this ridiculous thing. He's quote tweeting this far left liberal so-called journalist named Kyle Griffin, who tweeted, more from the AP. The U.S. defense officials say that they're worried about an insider attack or other threat from service members involved in securing Joe Biden's inauguration, prompting the FBI, and it doesn't show the whole thing, but prompting the FBI to probe all like 1,500 or 1,600 or 25,000 or whatever it is, National Guard over there. See, I don't know, you might have heard a little bit of this in the Jesse Lee Peterson show, that they are investigating and making sure, because let's face it, even to this day, I think the military supports the man who supports the country and who supports them and who actually has genuine love for the country, President Trump. They don't particularly respect or like Joe Biden, but they'll do their duty. They have, they follow their duty. Generally, I would say. The military and all them. But that's just scaremongering, I think. And so this guy, Michael Marshall Smith, he tweeted, 4 years, that's all it took. He's accusing Trump of cheating. That's all it took for Trump to do this. He's pretending that all of a sudden the country's divided. No, the country's been quite divided, and we've all known it since the year 2000, when W. Bush barely beat, supposedly, Al Gore, the guy who invented the internet. You knew that it was a very divided country at that point because it was that close. And it was probably horrible even prior to that. I wasn't really paying attention to politics before that. But he said, that's all it took Trump to do this. Remember what happened when he accepted foreign help to cheat his way into the White House? This guy is ridiculous. But he's able to say this on Twitter because Twitter supports lies, right? And hates truth. People marched in an orderly fashion when Trump was inaugurated, he's trying to say, and knitted pink hats. We have to exercise every legal means to stop him coming back. This guy's beside himself and ridiculous. And that's a male tweeting that, who looks like a grown adult, looks like he might be a boomer, a sucker. He's pretending that people were peaceful during the inauguration. Excuse me, there were riots in the inauguration. Wasn't there a limousine that got set on fire in Washington, D.C. during the presidential inauguration of President Trump in January 20th or so, 2017? Yeah. And that's when the hashtag punch Nazis thing came out. And why? Because a peaceful, you might say he's misguided or whatever you may say about him, but he's generally a peaceful man. Richard Spencer was on the sidewalk getting interviewed, an off-the-cuff interview on the sidewalk talking about Pepe the Frog. And he's not doing anything to anybody. And an Antifa guy comes up and sucker punches him in the head. Actually, I think he punched him around here somewhere. In the head. And all this hashtag punch Nazis. And, the journalists were like pro-punching Nazis. Or saying, oh, Antifa loves America. And they started, the stupid Antifa people started spreading that meme of Captain America punching a Nazi. Pretending that this guy's a Nazi. Well, he is nationalist, sort of. He is socialist. He's a liberal. So I guess you could call him a Nazi, I guess. But he's more of a nationalist socialist because he's an American, even though he's kind of given up on America. But that guy is not a hater any more than they are. Probably less so than they are. I mean, he did endorse Joe Biden. You have to be kind of full of hate to endorse Joe Biden. But he got hit because he was pro-Trump and he was prominently not anti-white. Prominently kind of pro-white. And he was called a Nazi. Ridiculous. What about, where is his paper bag test? I bet you he follows a few blacks on Twitter. I think he's still on Twitter, right? Isn't he still on Twitter? Some say he's a Fed. No, I don't know if they say that, but it's a shame. Yeah, he follows JLP on Twitter. He follows, oh, I'm not black. He follows me. So the Twitter's excuse for kicking Trump off was Trump tweeted on January 8th, the 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. And that's just a man talking. Because of course they've been disrespected in every way, shape, and form imaginable. The pro-Trump, America first, make America great again, American patriots, all of them have been disrespected in every way that you can imagine. Well, I guess there are more ways yet to come. But supposedly that's a bad thing for Trump to tweet. This is Twitter complaining about Trump's tweets and explaining why they banned President Trump. Shortly thereafter, President Trump tweeted, to all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration January 20th. I reported on this because that was January 8th, my last day before today that I was on air. And this is their reasoning, their fake reasoning. Due to the ongoing tensions in the United States and an uptick in the global conversation in regards to people who violently stormed the Capitol January 6th, these two tweets must be read in the context of broader events in the country and the ways in which President's statements can be mobilized by different audiences, including to incite violence, as well as the context and pattern of behavior from this account in recent weeks. After assessing the language in these tweets, according to our glorification of violence policy, in no place is that glorifying violence, but they just read into it, meaning they pulled a T. They pulled a T. Twitter pulled a T from Alabama. Maybe T is behind their Twitter policy. We have determined that these tweets are in violation of the glorification of violence policy, and the user real Donald Trump should be immediately and permanently suspended from the service. So that's their fake excuse for shutting Trump down. Ridiculous. But Trump has been consistent. He's called for peace all this time. From the very beginning, he said, I'm a unifier. And he unified people. Look at how many people support Trump. He's the most popular president, maybe ever, I don't know. And who cares about the rest of the world exactly? But he's probably the most popular and also at the same time most unpopular president in our lifetimes, I think. Grift hard, Spencer, says Brandon M. Aw. So, people are pretending, oh, Trump hasn't been calling for peace the whole time. Yes, he has. He's always been for law and order, pro-law enforcement. He's a total pro-law enforcement boomer. Anyway, I got to get back to calls. Brian from Syracuse, New York, has been on hold forever, and he wants to ask about the Trump media network. Brian, thanks for holding. How are you?
What's up, James? How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear it. You probably got over the Chinese virus faster than Trump did, man. Congrats.
Thank you, but I don't think I had it. I don't get out much, so I don't think I had it.
You know, speaking of that brown paper bag test, all you got to do is tweet a picture of Chris and be like, if you're not whiter than this, I'm not following you back. You won't be able to follow anybody.
I know.
But anyways, so yeah, I was going to send a link to the YouTube video of the Trump social media network or the news network, and of course, video's been removed for violating YouTube's community guidelines.
Yeah.
So I can't even show you it. But I honestly think that, you know, really, if Trump does follow through with this, that it could be a blessing in disguise. Just because I think that you can, you know, Ben Shapiro's talked about it. We need to get into the pop culture as conservatives.
The what culture?
The pop culture, you know, the ability just to be able to expose younger people to
pop culture. Pop culture.
Right.
Okay.
And
all right.
I don't know if Trump's going to follow through. I think Trump, he may just kind of ride off in the sunset, but I think it's possible. And if he does, I think he can even have more of an impact on the culture than he did as president.
If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine. That's exactly. A Star Wars quote. But yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, he's, you can't keep a good man down. He'll keep fighting. You know, they've done that. They've been marginalizing truth tellers for decades. Jesse Lee Peterson has been banned from radio stations. He's been banned all of his career at Bond, banned from different places. This is nothing new to him, and he's bigger than ever, thanks in part to YouTube. But,
well,
yeah.
I just think that, you know, it's either going to go one of two ways. Either people are going to start standing up and being like, listen, we can't start banning people, or it's going to get really nasty, and everyone's going to be demonetized. I mean, honestly, at
maybe
this point,
both.
Twitter sucks without Trump. So, you know, if he wants to start his own Twitter, I'll join right away.
Right. Yeah. You know, I heard that Jared Kushner, and I don't know if this is true, but I think I saw a headline. Jared Kushner put the clamp down or put a stop to President Trump, you know, his other helpers, having him join all of these alternative social media outlets. So I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows?
Yeah, he needs to get into TV. He needs to get into movies. Ben Shapiro just dropped a movie. I think it's called like Run, Hide, Kill or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's doing well.
I saw a bit of it.
Oh, okay.
I saw a little bit of it.
You got to join Daily Wire to watch it, so I didn't want to do all that. But
oh no, I saw it while it was streaming live. I haven't joined Daily Wire, but it was streaming live on YouTube at one point. I got a text from Esteban, of all people, of my former co-host, said that there's a conservative movie streaming right now on YouTube. And so I checked it out, and it seemed like disturbing, so I left it. But it was about some
need the
shooting.
inside info like you, Hake. You got to start spreading the love and letting us all in your inside info.
Esteban's hardly inside info, but yeah.
But real quick, I had a question for you, too. You have a shirt that says, Columbus was a hero, read a history book. I've been trying to find that online. I wrote you on Instagram. I commented on it.
Oh, okay.
Like, dude, where do I buy this shirt?
Yeah.
Where did you get that shirt?
I'm sorry I'm so bad about messages, Twitter messages, Instagram, and all that. I apologize. I got it from theredelephants.com. And it didn't say read a history book. It just said Christopher Columbus was a hero. It didn't say read a history book. But
You know what, you're right.
It's a nice shirt. Normally I like to wear JLP or the Fallen State or Bond or Hake t-shirts, but that's a nice one. And so, yeah, theredelephants.com.
We need some new JLP shirts. We need to get one that says James Hakes with the good hair, and we'll put Trump's hair on top of your head. And then we just got to get a picture of Earl and just put him on the shirt, and that's enough. Maybe just have Earl on the shirt.
Right. I appreciate the ideas. Yeah, go for it.
One more thing really quick. So I've been telling Nick, but I know he's an ankle baby. He's got to get Dr. Frank Turk from Cross-Examined.
Okay.
State, and he's got to get Wes Watson on the show, too. Wes Watson.
Oh, yeah, somebody told me about him. Yeah, Dawning Armor. Shout out to Dawning Armor. He told me about Wes Watson. Yeah, send your just send a follow-up email just to make sure he got it. That's the best way to do
lazy,
it.
Man.
Yeah,
I'll get on him.
I appreciate it. He's not
Thanks,
lazy,
Jay.
but he is busy. Take care, Brian. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right. Interesting. You got Chris laughing because he called Nick lazy. Nick produced the show. And then did the news, Hake News, all last week, and then answered phones, and then still sent me my daily caller list, and I didn't even get the podcasts up from Jesse Lee Peterson's filling in for me, but I will work on that. Keith in Illinois, how are you doing, Keith?
All right, how are you doing, Hake?
I'm fine too, thank you.
Yeah, I just called. I just been noticing. I watched that movie one night in Miami, and I thought about how a lot of people, what black people thought they had the answer to, help, I guess the black people, in their situations, and all these activists and politicians and movie stars, and well, they're not stars, but people, the entertainment people, right? But why has nothing ever happened overall? You know what I'm saying? Why is it? As black people overall, it's nothing but destruction and devastation. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about you You said that you saw a movie of who? Or of what?
It was called A Night in Miami with Ali. And Jim Brown and Malcolm X, and all of them had their ideas about how to help.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they got into it because this person had this idea, this person had this idea, this person had that idea.
Yeah.
But you have all these people with all these ideas, okay?
Right.
But, overall, I mean, if you look at, the inner cities, what I call the inner city plantations and black people overall, and the media hides, like the real devastation that's going on in these inner cities. I mean, they just hide. Okay?
Very true.
Hide. They don't, right. They don't bring it up. They don't say nothing. They always hide it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just, you're right. The murders are just the tip of the iceberg that's going on in the cities. I think that the blacks are richer today in general than ever before, so-called richer. But, financially, like they can all get Jordans, but they can't get anything else. Or they can all get, but yes, morally, they're just in hell. As President Trump said. They're in hell.
They live in hell. They live in hell, then they die and go to hell. And it's like, how many people are homeless? Like, I got a friend that works in Chicago. He gets on the L every night. He said, man, it almost brings tears to my eyes to see all these young black people sleeping down in the tunnel. There must be, 20 to 30 of them. I mean, It's so much going on. But if the liberal media don't print it, then people, it's amazing how the people live and see this, but when the liberal media tell them to turn their head,
Yep.
then they do. It's like, I don't understand how that's possible, because but they feed them this, this racism thing and all this here. So they forget about the fact that these liberals are the ones, like Malcolm X said, the liberal's not your friend.
Right.
He pretends to be your friend. Okay.
Yep.
And it's been going on for 60 years, and they're still falling for it, while black people, are totally devastated, man. To live in poverty, to live in, all this, disease and hatred and murder and mayhem. Like Chicago had over 4,000 shootings, 769 murders. Did the liberal media cover that? No.
That was in 2020 or what?
Yeah, 2020.
Wow, that's insane.
It is, but the liberal media doesn't cover it, so hey, it must not be important to black people.
Right.
It's like they wait for their God and Lord and Savior to say something, like the liberal media, to tell them how to think, feel, and act.
That's the same thing that the media does with regard to the illegal alien situation. In many cases, a lot of these crimes they get reported sometimes, but they don't report, oh, this is an illegal. They'll say, oh, Glendale, Arizona man did this or that. But they won't say what the person actually was. Very true. They don't report the truth. They hide it.
And these people, I don't understand how you figure the liberals afford you after 60 years of seeing,
I know.
Total devastation. That's my point. It's like, come on, people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they are. You're so right. They're worse off than ever. And I think it's because the so-called black leaders, like, to a certain extent, even MLK, I think, and even Malcolm X to a point, they're all into leading the blacks rather than telling the blacks to be self-led and be moral and all of that. They're talking about the outer supposed injustice that they're experiencing rather than addressing their hearts of injustice, because they have to change their hearts. True. They got worse.
That is so true. All of them, what you said, point to that, but they never point to, like, you can be better. You should do better. You should treat each other better. They always talk about this other, this racism thing. It's like, but okay, like Jesse said, that's not the problem. The problem is, the lack of moral character.
Right.
That's the problem. But, if you black and you point out black people, immoral character, their shortcomings, then you consider it Uncle Tom.
Yeah, you get Bill Cosby'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens to you. So that's why they don't do it. And people have to realize a lot of these people, they like their lifestyle too. They like their chauffeurs. They like their mansions. So they're willing to risk only so much. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all a con game. You know what I'm saying? Because they're only willing to say so much because they know these liberals would tear them a new asshole. That's why they won't say that. They only say so much now.
Yeah.
They know these liberals will attack them and destroy them. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just amazing to me that, that I had to just say that I saw the movie. I'm like, over 60 years, everybody's trying to take people, black people in this direction, but none of their direction is ever, made a difference. It just haven't, because, like you said, they don't talk about their moral character.
And you know what? The conservatives are cowardly kiss-ups, including most of the black conservatives. They still want to kiss up to the idea of racism. They say, conservatism is just thriving in spite of racism. They still believe in it. Yeah. They're still giving away that excuse, and that hatred of whites is a shame.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's just all big con game, the liberal media. I mean, they have been destroying this because they've been after to me. Now, this is just me. California, we just would have cut that state off and pushed it out in the sea. That is the most evil, wicked, satanic place in the world, actually. The most satanic people live there and run that, because these movies have always gave people this idea about slavery. Okay, I tell people, don't nobody really know what happened. These movies give you an idea, but that don't mean it really happened exactly like that. I mean, come on, you don't know.
Yep, exactly.
They're trying to get your emotions so they can control you. The only reason the media exists is to control people and keep them in bondage. And now that China owns them, and people are going to see how it's going to be to convert to communism, okay? And then that conversion is going to cause a lot of people to lose their lives, their livelihood, that conversion, okay?
Yeah.
And you know what? They still ain't going to be mad, because all the liberal media got to say is, once things get even worse and worse, where's Trump fault? And then people just going to be like, you know what? Ain't nothing we can do, is Trump fault. They're not going to stand up. Right, that's all they're going to do.
Remember Blame Bush? That's what all Obama and his administration did, was blame Bush. Right. And Bush was no angel either, but it's ridiculous. I appreciate it,
10
Keith.
years from now, if we living in total chaos and devastation, I'm talking about, like the RoboCop, just crime, just massive crime, no peace nowhere. All the liberal media going to say, well, if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't be here. People just settle down and believe it. They won't even fight back. The people will not even fight back. They won't do nothing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hake, for taking up your time. Thanks for letting me talk to you, buddy. You take care of the rest
You
of
as
your
well.
life, too. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, they're going to equate Trump. Trump is going to be another Hitler. Because you know how Hitler's, you think about what's the most evil person in the world that you've ever heard of? Hitler. That's what everybody is taught, right? Trump is the next one that they're going to do, even though he hasn't killed anybody that we know of. I was watching Star Wars, as the Hispanics call it. And they have, and these are like newer movies, they have every color, they have women leading and all that stuff. But what do they have as the most evil guy? And I watched like one of the more recent ones, right? It's this white guy shouting and screaming and almost cussing like he's Hitler. He's a blue-eyed white guy being like the most evil person in the whole movie. Even more evil than the dark magical people. A white male screaming about, oh, we're going to be the first order, we're going to be the best, and we're going to clamp down on all the evil people. They're pretending that they're good over evil. And then you see all of the armies of bad guys go, ah, and they lift up their hand, and it's just so reminiscent of the Hitler salute and the evil white people. Never mind that they have every other race and every other type of alien that you can imagine and beyond what you can imagine in the movie, but it's still the evil white man controlling the armies. Crazy. And that was a movie made by J.J. Abrams. Interesting. What a mess. Let me get to Pete, a first-time caller in Alabama. He wants to comment on MLK. Pete, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. Appreciate you calling. First time, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed, and for some reason, I woke up and I didn't even think it was Martin Luther King Day, but
yeah, I didn't either.
I was just like, for some reason, Martin Luther King. This occurred to me a while back, but I remember today, and it was that he's basically like the black people that were there, and they kind of worship him, but they worship him like Eve, like Adam did Eve, like.
Oh, interesting.
Like the victim, and Jesse's cartoon is great because it's like, oh, Eve, he's just her. She's like, oh, Adam, look, blah blah blah.
Right.
We're the victim, and anyway, he goes on to say in his "I Have a Dream" speech, which he didn't even write. He goes on to say, like a crying woman, I have a dream that one day we can judge people by the contents of their character. Saying not the color of their skin, but I don't. Is that not like the arbitration of good and evil to say that you can just look at a whole group of people's like content of their character and see it, and you're going to get a better interpretation or a more accurate one in times of like stress and stuff, like societally, than you would if you just like looked at them, see what they were doing, look at their fruits, what are they building, do they have kids, etc.
Interesting.
And
yeah, they I think the world was judging people based on their character and their actions more back then than they are today. I think it's gone the opposite direction. Maybe they already were. And so you may be right. It may have been just a propaganda, false imitation of good and evil. That whole line and push. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Who wrote it? Who wrote that speech? If MLK didn't write it, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. But people were definitely a lot aware of like what's important back in the day.
Yeah, people will judge you based on they'll judge you based on, oh, you're white and you're saying this, racist. Oh, you're black and you're saying this, Uncle Tom. Because if you tell the truth, they hate you. They think that you're evil. It's so backwards now. So you're right. I think that the reality of the situation back then is very different from how history is written. Look at how the mainstream media writes the present day so-called news. It's a twisting of the truth. So, yeah.
Yeah, my funny story, I've got one anecdote. Some people that I'm related to, way back, after their side lost the Civil War, instead of, letting all the carpetbaggers and 6 million Irish immigrants come over and take their land or just be given to it by the new government, they just gave their land away to, like, their slaves. They just, like, here's 40 acres, y'all take this, keep it in the community, stuff like that. And that's one reason Alabama is a lot better off racially, I think, than the northern states who have no idea, like, stuff like that.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. Yeah. I went down to Alabama, and you see blacks working. I mean, I'll see a black guy working. I see black guys working here in LA, but they're like responsible. It's interesting over there. I don't think it's as bad as the cities. The cities probably have always been more corrupt. It's like a hotbed of corruption. That's where all the gays go to find other gays. For example, they're just the tip of the iceberg, as I said.
Yeah, that's why I don't ever correct people in Alabama being racist. Like, a lot of my buddies are entrepreneurs and just absolutely crushing right now. Just
nice.
Like, they're getting great deals on their business offers and just, like, walking into things. Things are being opened for them.
Yeah.
These doors. And, but, yeah, like, I forgot where I was going with that. But,
well, you said that you don't correct people on their so-called racism. What, their statements? Their so-called racist statements?
I want Alabama, like, to stay the way it is, like, the way where, like, everybody can just kind of cohabitate.
It's called freedom of speech. You express yourself, and that's called common decency, and that's what real decency and respect is, where people can speak their mind. What kind of a society do you want to live in where people can't speak their mind? Well, everybody except for the whites can.
There's a BLM protest in the city that I'm in. It's at a school I'm at, and this was last summer. After the George Floyd stuff, when people were really intense about it.
Yeah.
And I was down, like, in the center of it. It's kind of a small town, but I was at the main group of it, and just tons of black people just looking around. They were looking at me because I have an impeached Democrat sticker on the front of my car. And I was,
wow.
Anyway, and I'm a tall white dude, so I get attention, like, when I'm surrounded by they, Anyway, I just rolled down my windows and turned up the radio, and there's this song playing called "I Love My Country." So I think it's a Florida Georgia Line song. And I've rolled all my windows down, turned it up to full blast, and just smiled and waved.
You're acting like a black. Like, that's funny.
Yeah, it was just mutual respect. It was interesting.
Nice. Well, I appreciate hearing from you, Pete.
Yeah, Hake, I enjoyed it. You have a good one, brother.
All right. Call again. Take care. So, did you know that, I don't know if I should say this, when Obama got reelected, I was mad. I was like, I voted for Mitt Romney. What a shame. But don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Keep it cool. Keep it cool. Let me play a couple of more clips here. Everybody's talking about how China, before I get to Maze, my favorite caller, everybody's talking about how China is oppressing the Uyghur Muslims. Well, this is a clip that I saw. I follow a couple of people who've been banned on Twitter, right? On Telegram. Milo, Vincent James. I don't think Nick has been banned on Nick Fuentes. I do follow him on Telegram. And Jesse Lee Peterson at JLP Talk on Telegram. Follow me at the Hake Report on Telegram. But I saw this clip, and it's Eric Prince, who is the guy who's the head of Blackwater. This is clip 11 that I'm gonna play. Eric Prince, who was the head of Blackwater, which has now changed names to something else because Blackwater's name was smeared in the liberal media for some, I think some contractors who were veterans, American veterans, became contractors with Blackwater. They shot up some Iraqis or something, women and children. They murdered them. President Trump, I think, commuted their sentence or pardoned them, a couple of guys. I don't think that we got the whole story. I don't think they went and intentionally murdered innocent people. But long story short, they did shoot and kill, according to reports, some unarmed Iraqis. And so their name, the Blackwater name, got dragged through the mud. But they're a government contractor, so you can take this maybe with a grain of salt. But this guy, he seems like an upstanding guy. I'm not sure. Eric Prince. And he's been interviewed by, Conservative Inc. type people many times. And by the way, he's the brother of Betsy DeVos, who was in the Trump administration. But Betsy DeVos resigned from being the Secretary of Education after the Capitol riots. So she's a flake, you might call her a flake, a weak woman. President Trump appointed her, and she turned on him, apparently, or couldn't stand by the man. But here is Eric Prince commenting on China, because China's trying to get involved in different places, including South Africa, America, Canada, maybe Afghanistan. Here is Eric Prince being asked, and I don't know when this was. It was at least a year ago. Eric Prince comments on the Uyghur Muslims. We've heard of Uyghur Muslims being genocided or put in internment camps by the Chinese and tortured and stuff like that. Well, here's a little bit of the other side of what the Uyghurs are doing to the Chinese. Listen to Eric Prince, and if you've heard of this before, that's great. I hadn't heard it before. Listen to this.
Your views on China and Afghanistan, sir?
So China is very concerned about Afghanistan because of the Uyghurs, or the Uyghurs. Okay, the Uyghurs are a Turkic people that live up in Xinjiang province up in the northwest. And the Uyghurs have had many hundreds of them fighting and learning and training in Syria, and are some pretty committed jihadists. And there's some sanctuary also in Badakhshan in the northeast part of Afghanistan where they can train and equip and all the rest. The Chinese do not have an experience with dealing with kind of counterinsurgency. They've had some really bad Uyghur terrorism that makes them very, very concerned, right? They did, like in Nanjing, at the train station, there was a knife attack, and 4 Uyghurs killed 29 people with knives, okay? Hey. Let alone if they have firearms or explosives, all the rest. So, look, Russia is concerned about Afghanistan because jihad can work its way north from there. China has an issue. Pakistan, here's another issue. The Pakistanis have been sticking it to us for a long time and playing both sides. And for all the noise about putting more pressure on Pakistan, the fact is we can't, because the very thirsty logistics lines of the Pentagon run right through Karachi. Okay, so as tight as we want to squeeze Pakistan, they can choke those supply lines as well.
What a mess. What a mess. Our over-involvement in the world. And all of this, you hear about, the Chinese are evil because they're oppressing the Uyghur Muslims. And maybe they are. But the Uyghurs, did you hear? He said, according to him, in Nanjing or something like that, at a train station, 4 Uyghur Muslims, who are Turkic people, Turkish, I think, murdered with knives 29 Chinese. Dang. Imagine if that happened here in America. A knife attack that killed 29 people. Yeah, our country is a mess and dying, and we're worried about what the Chinese are doing to the Uyghur Muslims. It's our last concern, honestly. What a mess. But it's just moral posturing. Yeah, China's evil. They're Marxists. They're anti-Christian. They're anti-white. They're taking over everywhere. Let's not grandstand about the Uyghur Muslims. They don't know how to deal with the terror attacks. We can barely deal with the terror attacks here. President Trump put a clamp down on it. I wonder what's going to happen as a new administration looks like is coming in. I wonder what's going to happen. Crazy. What a mess. Did you know that? So all of this posturing. You hear about these people act like they're all brave and condemn China, but they don't condemn our own countries. There's a UK guy, a UK foreign minister I read about in Hake News, who's saying we shouldn't do business with China. They're violating human rights. They don't respect human rights in UK. They don't even have freedom of speech. I heard that Christian street preachers get thrown in jail for saying that homosexuality is a sin, right? Or that it's wrong, or telling the truth about blacks or Muslims or women or whatever. You get thrown in jail for this imaginary hate speech thing. That's a violation of real rights, of your human rights. Human rights is a communist notion. It's a fake imitation of real rights. But these are fake people. They just talk about Uyghurs on the news because they hate Christians too. Interesting. Yeah, they won't stand up for Christians. I think I've heard that Christians are the most persecuted people around the world. To this day.
To this day.
You know, going back to the South, which is also a smeared place, Nick says the line, racist in theory, not in practice. Yeah, because racism is a fake vice. Most of the time, those people who are called racist are just honest people. Honest and telling the truth people. Or maybe they're not always telling the truth, but they happen to say something true. Or say something that's kind of on the road to the truth. And that's called racist too, because they have to shut down the truth. Anyway, let me get to Maze in Dayton, Ohio. She wants to ask me a question, I think. Might be a silly question, but here's Maze. What's up, Maze? How are you doing?
And it might make a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
If you were down in the Capitol today, would you have went down to the Capitol? Or would you just went to where you had 45 talking and left?
Oh, you're talking about, wait, today?
No, when they went in
the 6th? On January 6th?
Yes, on the 6th, yes.
What, I might have gone, yeah, I might have gone to see President Trump speak.
No, I'm saying he spoke, and then he told them to go down to the Capitol and fight like hell. You got to take, I don't listen to what the news media got to say. I listen to 45.
And what does that mean to you?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I asked you, would you have went if you were there? That's what
I don't know if I would have gone. I don't know how far it is. I don't know what I would have been doing that day. I don't know.
If you were there, and you was there for the purpose.
I might have gone down to the Capitol. I probably would not have gone inside. That seems foolish. That seems foolhardy.
Why you wouldn't? Why not?
Because it seems foolhardy. I just answered why.
The people inside, what was wrong with them?
They're foolhardy.
Were they breaking the law, or what were they doing?
I don't know if they were breaking the law. Some of them did because they broke stuff. I don't know if it's against the law to go into the Capitol. I think it is foolhardy during a time when obviously they're crossing police barricades. But yeah, I don't think it was advisable that they did that. Obviously not. Especially the ones who were breaking stuff. But that was very few. Very few. Isn't it interesting, Maze, how like all the people who went are being smeared ham-fistedly smeared. Everybody who was there. They're getting kicked off of their record labels, including Jews. That guy, Ariel Rosenberg. What a name.
I'm saying freedom of speech. So you always talking about freedom of speech.
They don't believe in freedom of speech.
When somebody want to speak freely, and then this disrespect that 74 million people that you keep talking about. Well, what about the 80 million that went out and voted and was happy for what they did? And
allegedly, we don't know. We don't know if that was real people.
Can I finish? And the ones that are not a part of that 80 million, just sitting back looking at this 74 million committing crimes. Why are they committing crimes? Just
74 million people are not committing crimes, Maze.
Did I say all of them? I said out of that 70.
Oh, okay. But how do you even know that those people who committed the crimes were out of that 74 million people who voted?
Because they were following orders.
No, you're making up stuff, Maze. Did you know, Maze, that one of the guys who was in there and got arrested and was inciting or agitating was a Black Lives Matter supporter who did not. I very much doubt that he supported Trump.
That's what he should be doing.
Huh?
He had on a Black Lives Matter T-shirt or whatever you want to say.
Whatever.
Y'all won't play it, so see, Curtis didn't hear when he said the president was still doing his speech when they went down to the Capitol. No, he was not. He was standing out looking at them, making fools of themselves. Now they want to.
You don't know what you're talking about, Mace. You're just making stuff up. No, all you do is make up stuff.
No, James, that's what I said.
Well, not all you do. I'm exaggerating, but you make up a lot of stuff. No more treasure chests. No more treasure chests, guys.
I'm going to tell you what I saw on the film.
No chest. Move along.
You just understand now, watching them people make fools that now they want to get pardoned. Do you think he should pardon those people that went inside the Capitol?
No chest. Move along.
I'm asking a question.
What?
Do you think he should pardon those people that went inside that Capitol and tore it up? And so
they did get arrested. In fact, more people got arrested than were guilty.
Now the point they that they should pardon them. Pardon them for what? Did they commit a crime?
Pardon them if they committed a crime. I don't know.
Did they commit a crime inside?
I don't know. Some of them might have.
Oh, you don't know. Okay.
Some of them did it because you could see them in mosh pit with cops. Like ridiculous. One guy was like moshing with cops, meaning like he was roughhousing with the cops.
Well, why are you the only one out of them 74 million that can talk about have a conversation about what was on inside of the Capitol, not about all this other stuff, saying the news media, but you were looking at it. It's on videotape, and they're going around looking for
I'm not
people.
the only one. You just
There's no crime
it's
going
just
on
you only listen to me. I'm not the only one who is talking about it out of the 74 million.
Well, so Fox acting like it's not happening.
What are you talking? It's not happening. It's like over. It was what, 2 weeks ago or a week?
So now you're mad.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago almost.
Well, what do you think about when they say
Fox stinks? Fox is liberal.
They were talking about hanging
no offense,
Mike
Fox.
Pence.
I like
some. What do you think about those words that they were saying, hang Mike Pence?
It's silly.
It's silly? Oh,
yeah.
That's what you thought.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Look at it, silly. Well, I'm going to say it like this.
Based?
They're going to be a whole lot of them ran for some foolishness, and they're going to be going to jail. That's why the cops all over the country looking.
Did you hear my comments about Lin Wood, who said worse about Mike Pence?
Well, no, that was a threat.
That's not a threat. No, that's not a threat. Maze.
And that's why.
Maze, it's just. Hold on, Maze. Hold on. Let me correct you on that. Because people are saying, oh, Lin Wood was calling for violence. I mean, he was calling for orderly violence. He thinks that it would be appropriate. It's insane. It's silly, but it's not a threat. It's saying Mike Pence should face the firing squad. It's one of those guys who's overzealous and says, these people have committed treason by not standing for the country, by standing for Trump. That's what happens to people who commit treason. He was calling for an orderly execution by law, following the law. He wasn't calling for mob violence.
But James, Lin Wood probably got shut down because of Lin Wood in his rhetoric that he goes out of.
No, that was the excuse that they did. Yeah, you could call it they used that as an excuse to shut Parler down.
But as I was saying,
but he was saying worse stuff on Twitter. He was saying the same things on Twitter.
It's good that you recognize
and it stayed there before you got shut down. And you know, it's interesting that Black Lives Matter can say worse.
I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter.
I know you don't want to talk about Black Lives Matter. I know you don't want to talk about them. Because they do way worse. They do way worse, and they're endorsed by Twitter.
It's good that you can admit it. Because all the other people are in denial. It's good that you can admit it when inside the Capitol.
I don't know about anybody who's in denial.
You said they went inside the Capitol and broke the law. They won't even have a discussion about it. If that would have been Black Lives Matter going in there to do that same thing,
they would have gotten high fives too.
So now how do you feel that you see the cops looking for people that went and committed a crime just like they do to black people?
No, they do not do that for black people. Blacks get away with it. Maze, the people, hold on, Maze. The people who went to this thing, and then I have to end. The people who rioted in most of these cities, most of them were never charged. Even the ones who were arrested, charges dropped. Really? So you don't know what you're talking about, Maze? Really? They don't hunt down the blacks.
That's what I'm saying, James.
I gotta go. You have a good day.
How do it feel to see that the cops are looking for them? You don't see nothing going on in Chicago. All these killings that they bring you every day, they're looking for people that committed a crime and broke the law inside the Capitol.
It's silly, huh? And it just shows you that they protect the politicians are about themselves and not about what's right.
That walk around like a nut with no shirt on, cold as that day as cold as it was.
You have a good day.
That's Mama trying to save him. Yeah, you have a good one too. But it's good that you admitted it. It's like to take what the president was sitting there laughing at him, watching him commit the crime.
Yeah, you too. Mostly Antifa was arrested. Very few blacks. Yeah, I think blacks in general are kind of slicker. They know how to get away with stuff. They don't say when they do the knockout game on you. I mean, there is no equivalent. They can't call the white guy the N-word because the N-word is for blacks. Well, they call them N-words anyways. But if a white guy does the knockout game and says N-word and then punches, then that's a hate crime. But the blacks can do or say anything, but they're also slick about it, so they get away with crimes. Anyway, guys, this has been the Hake Report. Dana and the rest of the callers, I cannot get to you, but Dana wanted to respond to Maze. We'll be back tomorrow. I should be back tomorrow. Hopefully, right? Hopefully. I'm feeling fine. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse's stuff. RebuildingTheMan.com/church for Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Podcasts are up. And also the silent prayer is listed there. Audio version, download, and video link too. Nice. And also sign up for the mailing list, the Bond mailing list there too. Cool. All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah.